Hello everyone, welcome to the first inaugural stream. My name is Captain K. This is a super special time for me. I've been trying to get into streaming for a while. I'd like to introduce myself, just a little bit about myself. I'm a Navy vet. I spent 5 years in the military. I was stationed in Seattle and then I moved down to Camp Pendleton as I was a field medic with the Navy and then I got attached to a Marine Corps unit. Um, Super awesome time for me. I've been out for about 2 years now. I've been super into aviation since I was a little kid. Got my recreational license a couple years ago, and then my PPL out in California. Doing a lot of flights. I've flown in full motion sims, fixed base sims. My primary love is tube liners. But for the inaugural stream today, I thought it'd be fitting to do something a little bit special. But yeah, it's awesome to be here, and I'd like to welcome you guys aboard. Today we have planned a little bit of a vintage flight. We got the P51 Mustang in front of us, courtesy of DCS World and Eagle Dynamics. Alongside that, this is actually one of their older modules. We're going to be also flying the P47 Thunderbolt, as well as the Mustang. These two iconic warbirds for World War II. So let me explain a little bit about what we're going to be doing. So, the plan is we are going to depart from Manston to the east, make a right turn southbound, head along the White Cliffs, nice and low, and show off the scenery, the newer channel map. This is one of the newer maps Eagle Dynamics has released. And we are super excited. Hang on, let me get this music off. Alright, there we go. Perfect. That was just kind of annoying. Alright, so we're going to be heading down to the south along the White Cliffs, all the way down. We're going to make another right turn heading westbound. Looking for the landmarks. We're going to be heading over to... Just give me one moment. We're going to be heading over to High Halden. We're going to be looking for these larger lakes, these bodies of water. So this is a really cool map. I've definitely flown a lot of combat missions with friends and stuff like that. A lot of stuff with flak and bomber escorts and lots of cool stuff like that. A lot of history behind this, and I love how the historical representation that Eagle Dynamics has put into this map of an iconic area during World War II has been rendered and displayed here. Super cool. So over here, this is the coast of France, and over here we have the coast of England. So let's go ahead and hop in the bird here. This is the P51D Mustang, iconic warbird for the time. And without further ado, let's get her started up. I'll run through a full. We are cold and dark right now. We'll run up through a full cold and dark procedure with you guys. And so, yep, let's go. We're going to start. Generators are going on. Batteries are going on. Pitot heats are going on. Magnetos are going to both. Going to set the rudder trim to about 6 degrees. Ensuring the radiator coolant, air controls, and oil air controls are set to automatic. Carburetor air control lever is going to be in full ram air. Flaps are going to be in the up position. Fuel shutoff valve is going to be open. Fuel booster or the fuel pumps we're going to go ahead and turn on. Since we're flying by ourselves today and we're not in a combat role or anything, I don't think it's really necessary to turn on any external lights. So back to the trim. So you do want to set 6 degrees right rudder. From my perspective, when I start this bird, the propeller's going to spin clockwise or to the right in front of me. And as a result of that, it's going to produce some counter torque, which is actually going to pull the fuselage of the aircraft to the left. I am using track IR today. I find that it is amazing to use in DCS. I'm a pretty new track IR user, but it was a little bit weird getting used to it at first, but now I'm falling in love with it. Highly, highly recommend it. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I'm obviously a super new streamer, and um, yeah, so let's go ahead and bring the prop full forward. We're going to need that as much juice as we can get for takeoff, and then we're going to crack it back to about 90% once we're in the air. Now, unlike the P47, which is a radial engine, this is a um, liquid-cooled engine, and it is a standard inline engine. So the manifold pressure, I'm sorry, the RPMs we need to watch. We need to watch our temps because if you push this engine too hard, it will push right back. That is a fact. Um, and one thing that I really like about flying the Warbirds is that unlike the newer aircraft like fighter jets and airliners, there is no hydraulic support. There's no hydraulic systems in these aircraft. Basically, when I put an input to the stick here, I am directly modulating the flight control surface, like this right aileron here, via a cable. The only thing connecting this and that is the cable. That's it. So when you're putting in a flight control input, the airplane is going to do whatever you tell it to do. It's not going to ask for forgiveness. It is not going to, baby you like a flight control system does. It will do whatever you tell it to do, and it will not apologize for it. So, these warbirds, if you're good to them, they'll be good to you. And you guys will see that, how nice and easy they like to fly. And despite having that limitation, because obviously these are older, iconic warbird aircraft from the World War II era, um, they're still very, very maneuverable in the sky, which is really cool. And you'll see, once we get in the air, this thing is, no slug for sure, and neither is the P47. This is a little bit slower for sure than the P47. That thing's got a very, very powerful engine. But all right, enough about me blabbering on. Let's go and neutralize the elevator trim here. Ensure that the rudder trim is in 6 degrees, flaps are up. And let's go ahead and prime the engine. So we're going to go ahead and hold the primer for about 6 seconds. 4 1000, 5 1000, 6 1000, and release. Go ahead and lift the starter cap there and go ahead and press and hold. Once we turn over, we're going to move the mixture control lever to run. Perfect, and she's running. One thing that I missed that I should have done is you should always have the parking brake engaged while you're doing this, especially in the rear world. So we got to double check here. Flaps are coming up, which is good. Aileron trim is neutral. Elevator trim is neutral. Rudder trim is set to 6 degrees. And go ahead and close that starter switch cover. Beautiful. Do a quick flight control check. Right aileron. Left aileron. Left stab. And right stab. Alright, flight controls are free and clear. Let's check the rudder too. Alright, flight controls are free and clear. Let's go ahead and close the canopy here. It's got that old school hand crank. When I first started flying in this sim years ago, the TF-51 was the first aircraft that I started flying, and I had no idea that I could map anything, and I wasn't aware of the intuitive control mapping that DCS offers. So this was, years ago. I was sitting here hand cranking the canopy like, oh, come on, like, when is it going to close? Like an idiot, but all right, so looks like we are good to go. Let's go ahead and start taxiing forward. see. Let's go ahead and get the volume down a little bit here. Oh, wrong setting. Options, there we go. I can't even think. I'm so nervous. So yeah, I've been flying flight sims for about 15 years now, and you know, this isn't something I'm gonna do too often, flying these old warbirds like this. But I figured it'd be a, you know, like I said earlier, a special treat for those of you tuning in as an inaugural stream for me. So, and taxiing in this aircraft, you're modulating the wheel brakes because it is a tail wheel aircraft, meaning that in the front of this aircraft there are the two mains, 1, 2, and the tail wheel there. So traditional, more modern aircraft, you know, you have a nose wheel that pivots on an axis. There is no pivoting the tail wheel does pivot if you unlock it, but I figure that it's just easier for me to not spin out if I keep that tail wheel locked. Another thing about this and the P47 is that the stance in the mains is very wide, so it keeps it very stable on approach and on landing and on takeoffs, and on the ground generally. Just the this wide stance here, which I like a lot. All right, so let's go ahead and throttle up to 30 inches, 30 psi manifold. Release the brakes and bump it up to about 51, and we are rolling 100 miles an hour. And 150, we are up. Awesome, check us out. So after departure, we're gonna go ahead and reset that rudder trim back to 0 and make our right turn to the south. Very cool. One thing I didn't do that you guys might have noticed is this center instrument here, the attitude directional indicator. I actually didn't uncage. Typically don't use it unless you know, I'm in some pretty low visibility conditions, as it is not really as reliable as your modern primary flight displays. Alright, we're gonna bring the throttle back a little bit. Let's go ahead and bring the prop back to about 90%. Very maneuverable. And we're going to be heading down to those white cliffs down there and then make our right turn to the west to High Holden. Awesome sounds. Get it going trimmed out, nice and neutral. Put a little bit of left aileron and stab trim in there. We are cooking now, doing about 350 miles an hour. check us out. Imagine if people would be freaking out if they were on this beach right now. Oh yeah. Buzzing these buildings. God, these graphics really do look amazing. I just upgraded my PC pretty recently. I did a Intel i7-9700K, RTX 2080 Super, 32 gigs of RAM, the Z390 motherboard, and yeah, it's been amazing so far. Definitely better than what I had, for sure. So I'll show you guys the ADI. So we'll level out to a neutral position here. We'll uncage it so you can see kind of what that looks like. Left bank, right bank, invert. Now this aircraft isn't designed to fly inverted, obviously, but you can do it. Like I said, this is super maneuverable. I really would kill to fly in one of these things for real. For sure. Never flown anything this cool. That's for damn sure. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to be landing from the northeast side of the field in a left downwind, left base to final configuration. Another thing about this aircraft, the gun sounds in this are incredible. You know, especially if you're an idiot like me and like to test them out on the ground. It doesn't seem that the weight on wheels is in this aircraft, so you can totally fire the guns on the ground. You know, this is a sim, we can kind of do what we want, but nonetheless, it sounds really, really great. So I believe we're coming up on the field there. We are. This little thing here that kind of looks like the opening to a like a trumpet bell. That is a rear-facing radar, which is pretty crazy technology for the time. That's powered on right here. And obviously we don't need that today. But basically what it does is it uses a light to detect if there is someone on your 6 o'clock position. Absolutely beautiful. I'll tell you, with this track IR, it really makes you feel like you're there. I do have VR. I don't really like to use it too much, just because me personally, it's great for a lot of people, but for me, it kind of just makes me go a little bit green in the face, if you know what I mean. So if I stay upside down long enough, you'll start to hear that the RPM will overspeed itself. We're not going to do that. Go ahead and check the map here. Oh, we are past High Halden. Look at me, professional VFR pilot. So we're gonna right turn here and circle back for the airfield. Alrighty. And there's the field off to our 2 o'clock off our nose there. See it right there. So I'm going to go ahead and offset about 15 degrees here. Start our descent for our upwind leg. Could really pull some G's in this turn. Once we get below 170 miles an hour, we can drop the gear and flaps. That little alarm that you're hearing is the landing gear warning, because we are bringing the throttle back and the gear's not down. See that little red light? Alright, and we are below 170. We can go and drop the gear and the flaps. Gear's coming down now, and we're entering our upwind leg for the left base. Got a green light on the gear, so gear is down and flaps are down. I will definitely say flying warbirds is a whole another level of challenge in regards to the throttle and stick inputs. This is all you. I mean, everything is, there's nothing babying you, there's no systems backing you up. It is you and the airplane, and I think for a pilot that is a truly beautiful thing. That's why I love flying these things. Really puts your skills to the test, for sure. Alright, we're going to start our left base turn to final now. And line up for the visual. At about 1,000 feet and descending a little bit high. Alright, first landing on the live stream. Hopefully I make it a good one. Lined up left. Center line, looking good, a little high, a little fast. Bring the speed back, pitch up, flare. Floats. Bounce. And we are down. A little bit of a late landing, but it's okay. We're gonna be a little bit extra hard on the brakes as we're rolling out. Flaps are coming up. Beautiful. Whoop. Always cracks me up when I do that. So yeah, with this aircraft, if you toot on the brakes, obviously because of the landing gear configuration, it'll pop that tail wheel up and probably in real life do some damage when it comes smacking down on the ground there. But I love in this map how they have the you can look on the left, all the old cars, the old military trucks, the old buildings and barns, and got a watchtower over there. All the old smokestacks. Really, really, really cool. Let's open up the canopy. And we'll actually, we'll put her in the grass. Like I said, I am modulating the toe brakes. Okay. Alright, so with that, let's take a little break of about 5 minutes, and then we'll hop back in the P47 at Mansfield, do some pad work and a little bit of aerobatics in it, and see what we can do with pushing it to its limits. truly beautiful. I love this livery too. It's really, really, really great. Alright guys, we'll be right back. Alright guys, we are back with the P47 Thunderbolt. Let me go ahead and change the little header here. Alright. So this aircraft is the largest fighter of World War II. The Thunderbolt, I think it was nicknamed the Jug. Powerful radial engine. Unlike the engine on the P51, you can really push this engine. Not really worrying about too much. Pretty iconic design. It's got the cowl flaps here. It's sporting 4 Mark II or Mike II 50 cal machine guns, or 4 on each side of the wing. That's crazy. With a plethora of ammunition, this thing has a lot of firepower. It's fast, not as maneuverable as the Mustang, but it is very stable in the air, very stable on the ground. It's got that nice wide stance on the mains there, and a bubble glass canopy. The later iterations do. unlike the Razorbacks, but this is the newer iteration of the P47. So let's go ahead and hop in the pit. Startup is a little bit tricky in this thing. It's a little bit different other than the, unlike the P47, you have to hand, let me mute this music here. You have to hand crank or hand pump the primer. There's a hand primer here, and you got to make sure that's locked when you're done using it. So we're going to run through a full startup right now, and we'll get her in the air. So go fuel, selector switch to main. If you do have fuel in the auxiliary tanks, you want to go ahead and burn that first, but we're not using that right now. We don't have any fuel in the auxiliary tank. We have fuel in the main tanks, so we will go ahead and go. Go ahead and lock the tail wheel here. Magneto set to both batteries coming on. Selector switch is set to auto constant speed. Go ahead and bring the prop full forward. Interlock the supercharger lever, the boost lever with the throttle. And we're gonna prime the engine when we're done or energizing the starter, and then we're gonna engage the starter motor brushes. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. A little bit of rotation. So now they're engaged, and I like to press and hold the starter energizer switch, which is this switch in the down position. I have it mapped to control my HOTAS setup, and we'll give this about, I think the manual says 4 to 6 pumps. Go ahead and lock it, and once I engage the starter, I'm going to bring the flaps. Flaps are full up. Tail wheel is locked. It's a little bit tricky, as we are going to grab onto the mixture level, and as soon as it starts, we're going to fling it up into auto rich, and then she should be running. So go ahead and do that now. Oh, energize the starter a little bit more. Press and hold. Might need a little bit longer. Like I said, this is a little bit tricky getting this thing started, but she flies like a dream for sure. All right. She turned over nicely. She's running. Couldn't get the generators on. Pitot heat's on. Couldn't turn on the cockpit lights. One thing we didn't do in the Mustang is zero out the altimeter, which we can do. Zero it out to a center point elevation of 29er. It's hard to read. 29er, 79er. We didn't talk about the accelerometer here. The large needle displays your current G, and then we have the two smaller needles that will go to, it'll actually lock into place on your max G unit and negative G unit for each respective flight, and will reset when you recycle the battery, I believe. So, and you should have the parking brake locked for the startup process, but it's super finicky trying to modulate the parking brake and the tow brakes at the same time. It's really weird. I'm just going to do a quick flight control check. Right ailerons, left ailerons, rear stabs, and rudders. Got right ailerons, left ailerons. All right, flight controls are free and correct. With that, go ahead and make sure we're in takeoff trim. Rudder set to TO for takeoff. Elevator trim is set to neutral, and aileron trim or roll trim is set to neutral as well. So we'll go ahead and taxi forward here, and we'll close the canopy once we're in the air. I like to really hear these sounds. Same deal with this as with the Mustang. You want to modulate the wheel brakes to taxi because it is a tailwheel aircraft. Love the sound of this radial engine. It's big old engine. I believe, I'm not sure about the horsepower. I'm pretty sure I think it's over 1,000 horsepower, this engine. I'm not too familiar. Don't read up too often. I should read up more. Or what I do is I read up a lot on these aircraft and then these aircrafts and then forget because I always pump and dump. That's a Navy term, pump and dump. We used to say that when you study something or try to remember something, you pump it in and then dump it out as soon as, like anything else, like if you're studying for a test or for college or something like that. Go to uncage the ADI here, make sure we're lined up. We can cheat here with the exterior view. I guess this is how you cheat in Flight Sim. You know, obviously landing, one thing that was huge to me, a huge eye-opener to me with these warbirds is the visual, your visual range is very limited on takeoff and landings due to the fact that you have such a high angle when you're sitting on the ground because of the tail wheel. So you don't have that much, you don't have a very good visuals. The cockpit takes up a lot. So let's go ahead and bring the manifold pressure up to 30 psi. Off brakes. And bring her up to 51. Just likes to jump there, bring her back a little bit. Off the tail wheel now. A little bit of back pressure on the stick, and we're airborne. Gears coming up, and we're going to close the cowl flaps and the canopy shortly after. Super cool stuff. Alright, so we'll offset 45 degrees and then we'll turn back in over the field and try to push a little bit of the limits of this aircraft. We'll try to do some aerobatic maneuvers with it. Try to do a full Cuban 8 if we can. Beautiful. I love track IR. It makes flying so much easier in this sim. And we're gonna push that radial engine. Gorgeous! Simply gorgeous. Alright. Look at that. Already over 300 miles an hour. This thing is a beast! Over the center line, and we're gonna pitch up. Hold about 4 Gs on that. And we're gonna fly inverted, unload, come back down. It's a little bit off center line, but she flies really, really well. Alright, pitch up again. Pulling those G's, unload. Beautiful. Coming over the center line again. Gelget. Do a roll. Do another roll. When she's fast, she'll definitely do a lot. That's for sure. Anything under 300, I'm like a little bit freaked out to do those kind of maneuvers when I'm going a little bit slower in this thing. Track IR is so great. Can look back so quickly like that. Alright, let's try and go for an inverted pass here without dying. These airplanes are constantly trying to kill you if you don't know what you're doing. Look at that, engine's killed already. And rolled upside, all the everything, all the fuel pressure returns to normal, and the engine fires right back up. So yeah, obviously you shouldn't keep it inverted for that long. So let's try and do a couple touch and goes. Pull some G's here. Wow, we pulled up to almost 6 G's. This can just demonstrate how maneuverable these older aircraft actually were and are. Alright, go ahead and slow her up here. Skip below 200, we'll open the canopy. One thing that's cool about this airplane is the canopy is electrically driven with a motor. Unlike the Mustang, where you have to hand crank it open. Alright, we're on our upwind. Look at that. Canopy opens right up. Go gear down, flaps down. Getting a little bit slow here. And since we got a lower airspeed, we'll open open up the cowl flaps to keep the engine as cool as possible. And you can actually overspeed the engine cowl flaps, so you don't want to open them. I believe it's above 200. Could be wrong though. Looks like it's going to be a pretty tight base turn, so let me extend out a little bit. Offset. And we'll bring her around. This airplane also likes to climb in the turns for sure, which was a lot to get used to at first. Alright, a little high, we're looking good on the visual here for the center line. And we're super fast, so we're going to bring the throttle back. Should be at about 120 normally. But we'll float this out and get back in the air again. little bounce. Full throttle. Flaps are coming up. And we're back in the air again. Gears coming up. That engine torque really yanked us to the left there. Alright, gear and flaps are up. And we'll just leave the canopy open. Sorry. And bring her around for our downwind leg again. And we'll make it a full stop this time. Gonna bring that throttle back. Forgot to close the cowl flaps, but that's okay. Like I said, these are aircraft that I don't normally fly, so... Alright, gears coming down. Flaps are coming down. Beautiful. Definitely a lot of practice goes into being able to do perform safe landings with these tail wheel configured aircraft, for sure. Alright, let's make our left base turn here. Looking right on the money here, a little bit fast. Slide slip a little bit with some left rudder input. Beautiful. And bring the power back. Float her on down. Flaps will come up. And let it roll herself out. Set takeoff trim back to normal. It's hard to see. Set the elevator trim. Perfect. Let it roll all the way down to the end. Alright, we'll take this spot right over here to our left. Spinning it around. Alright, let's set that parking brake. Let's see how finicky it is. There it is. Alright. Bring the flaps down. Bring the prop back. And let's kill it. Close the fuel valves. Get the generators off, pitos off, cockpit lights off. Make sure the tail wheel is locked. Magnetos are going off, and the battery's going off. We are back on the ground, safe and sound. Well, that just about does it for me for this first stream. It's a huge pleasure for me to be doing this. I have been wanting to do this for a really long time, and you know, I'm just excited to for you guys to hopefully that you enjoy what I like to enjoy as far as flight sim goes. I like to do some after-hour streams too, like. I was thinking, you know, I like to play Phasmophobia a lot with friends and fly with friends a lot, and you know, do a lot of tube-liner stuff. Get an X-plane and fly the all the big tube-liners. That's where my main love is, for sure. If you guys liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Take care.